CAT and other MBA entrance exams? BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA, your one-stop solution for all MBA exams related questions. Watch unique strategies to ace CAT, XAT, SNAP, IIFT, TISNET, CMAT and other important MBA entrance exams. Tips and tricks to boost score, subject-wise and chapter-wise sessions, previous year's questions, exam-related update and notifications, live exam analysis and actual questions discussion. So why wait? Subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and press the bell icon to stay updated.
Good afternoon, all of you. I hope I am audible, loud and clear. Let's get over this technical glitch, if at all we have any, so that we can start off the session. Ninad, good afternoon, Ninad. How are you doing? Welcome to the class. The Wish Sailor, good noon, good noon. Anuja, hi Anuja, how are you? So welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep, India's premier online test prep platform, and this is Pradeep Sengupta welcoming you to the session today. Sweetie Chaudhary has just joined. Hi Sweetie, how are you doing? Aniket, good afternoon Aniket, welcome to the class. It's so heartening to see you people back to the class once again. Okay, hi Abhilasha. Sibha, good afternoon Sibha. Pranit, hi Pranit, good afternoon, how are you doing? So it's been 3 consecutive days that we have been having these classes. I hope you are enjoying the sessions with us at BYJU'S Exam Prep, and it is our earnest endeavor to bring you the best of the best content every day. Hi Ninad. Okay, all clear, that's wonderful. So we have had a couple of sessions on critical reasoning. Yesterday we had a wonderful session on assertion and reasoning. I hope the things are clear to you. So today we will continue the journey and we will be talking a bit more about critical reasoning today. And it's part 2 of critical reasoning. And today we will be talking about some critical reading passages, critical reasoning passages, which are in lines with RC, in lines of RC, but in this case the passages are going to be short, okay, same as the passages we practiced yesterday, but this time the passages will be around of a couple of lines followed by a question, and then we will try to answer the questions. So but the main takeaway of the session should be how to analyze the passages properly. All right. I hope you people are preparing well for MAHCET, isn't it? Okay. So this is how we are placed today. We will be talking about the question structure and how the passages will look like. All right. So let us get going with the session. Now, usually, as I was telling you, we are going to witness a short passage and followed by some questions, and this is what the questions are going to look like primarily. Okay, so some questions will be based on conclusions. We have done a few conclusion questions yesterday, if you remember, right? But look at the way the sentences are curated, the sentences are drafted or worded, so to speak of. Which of the following conclusions can be best drawn from the statement above? This is one question which you will follow. Of course, if you remember, your CAT RCs or the XAT critical reasoning sections. So these were the type of questions which we, confronted when we were solving passages on critical reasoning when we were, practicing for XAT and CAT. The second question looks like the conclusion above depends on which of the following assumptions. Again, assumption-based questions come back to haunt us. 3 says which of the following must be true if the above statements are true, and which of the following strengthens or weakens the arguments made above. So primarily these are the types of questions which I think you're going to face in MAHCET critical reasoning section. Abhilasha says, I need more QA and DILR live sessions. So can you please inform the team? The team stands informed, Abhilasha, and probably you will be. And I think you have been following our MAHCET series on DA and QI, isn't it? And we have already had so many sessions on DI and QA. Follow the videos, and just in case you need more, so the team will do its level best to bring you the best of the best content in these areas. Hi Sonali, good afternoon. All right. So strength and weaken questions, as I was speaking to you, these are the types of questions which we need to be practicing more. All right. So primarily, what we are going to discuss today, these are some of the question types which we will be discussing today. Conclusion based questions, assumption based questions, inference based questions, strength and weaken questions, parallel reasoning questions, explain resolve questions. Now these questions are a bit tricky. They give you a problem and they ask you to explain the reason why this problem has cropped up. Okay. And flawed reasoning. Flawed means when there is a flaw or an error in the reasoning. In the option given, you may have to find out the flaws given. So these are some of the question patterns that we will discuss today, right? So we will again have a great session. So I hope you enjoy the session today with us. All right. So to begin with, we will practice a few strengthen questions. Strengthen means the argument needs to be supported. When you give support, okay, there is an argument and you kind of support the argument, okay? You empower the argument. All right. So the argument needs empowerment, the arguments need support. So this is what strength questions are all about. All right. So let's look at the first question today. What is the first question? The first question tells you, question number 1, there are fewer pets, dogs and cats, available for adoption in this city than there are people who want to adopt pets. 2,000 people are currently waiting to adopt, but in 2020, there were only 800 adoptions. Which of the following statements, if true, most strengthens the author's claim that there are fewer pets available for adoption than there are people who want to adopt? Now you have to understand the line of question. What is the main argument being proposed by the author? Once again, what is the main argument proposed by the author? So once you understand the argument, then read the options and find out whether the given options strengthens the argument or weakens the argument. Like in this particular question, we are looking at options that would give valid support, that would provide some validity to the argument that has been brought up by the author. Okay, so let's read the question and then slowly we will move towards the options. All right, I have got the first response of the day. Ninad says it is C. Shubham says it is A. All right, Shubham. Devika has keyed in C. All right, Devika. Okay, let us get into the soul of the argument. What is the soul of the argument, right? The first line tells you there are fewer pets, okay? So it's between the pets and the pet owners, right? So pets are less than the pet owners. So can we form an equation over here, right? There are fewer pets available for adoption, all right, in this city. Then there are people who want to adopt pets. So this equation solves the issue over here. 2,000 people are currently waiting to adopt. 2,000 people are currently waiting to adopt right now. But in 2020, if you go back in 2020, there were 800 adoptions. So in 2020, 800 adoptions took place. Okay. So let's presume that in 2020 also, the number of pet owners were greater than the pets. So let's say there are 1,500 pet owners. So how many adoptions will take place? Only 800, right? So in that scenario also, 700 owners will be petless, yes or no? This is the argument. Have I been able to explain the things to you? The question says, which of the following statement, if true, most strengthens the author's claim? What is the author's claim? First of all, try to find out the author's claim. The author's claim is this: there are fewer pets for adoption in this city than there are people who want to adopt pets. Okay, this is the main contention, right? And you have to support it. A says the number of people who want to adopt pets has increased in the last 5 years. On what ground can we interpret A? Right? We don't have any ground to interpret A. We are talking about 2020. What happened 5 years back, we do not know about it. B says the number of adoptions a year is equal to the number of pets available for adoption if the number of pets available for adoption is 800, and given the fact that there are more pet owners than the pets available, so can we safely assume, let's take a hypothetical figure, right, as was the case over here, pets were 800 and pet owners were say 1,500 or 2,000, let's say 2,000. So at any given point of time, what is the maximum number of pets that would be adopted? 800 only. So that would still leave us with 1,200, pet owners who would go petless. They would not have any pets, right? So B says number of adoptions a year is equal to the number of pets available. This proves it, yes or no? C says adoption is a complicated process and most people have to go through multiple interviews before being given a pet. Now, what has this got to do with the main argument? Right? The main argument is there are fewer pets than pet owners. D says people are not particular about breed when often for adoption. Is this the argument? How can we strengthen or weaken it? E says there are many pet parks, resorts and spas indicating the love for pets among the people of the city. It's a very generous sentence, but that does not solve the problem that we have at hand. All right. So if you look at the main contention, there are fewer pets for adoption. Then there are people who want to adopt pets. 2,000 people are currently waiting to adopt, but in 2020, there were only 800 pets for adoptions. So don't you think we can correctly assume that the number of adoptions a year is equal to the number of pets available for adoption? That actually solves the problem. This supports the claim that there are fewer pets. There are fewer pets for adoption than the people who want to adopt. All right. So this argument, this Option, it gives support to the author's claim. This gives support to the author's claim. I hope it is clear what this is the line of argument. Right? उन्होंने क्या कहा कि नंबर ऑफ पेट्स कम है और पेट ओनर्स ज्यादा है, तो अगर नंबर ऑफ पेट्स 800 होंगे तो 800 ही डॉग होंगे ना, ज्यादा तो होंगे नहीं. सो इक्वल होंगे. इक्वल किसके? नंबर ऑफ पेट्स एंड नंबर ऑफ अडॉप्शन. बाकी लोग जाएंगे खाली हाथ. सो बी इज द ऑप्शन दैट एक्चुअली प्रूव्स व्हाट द ऑथर इज सेइंग. Got it? So in this case, B should have been the answer. All right. Have you followed? All of you. Let us look at the next question. For question number 2, Sanil has keyed in option D. Thank you, Sanil. Let's see if we are right on track or not. Ninad says D. Abhilasha says C. All right. Devika also says D. All right. Whenever you choose an option, let the option be X, right? You must have a very strong line of reasoning, okay? I call it LOR. What is the LOR that you are applying? What is the line of reasoning? You are choosing X to be the option. X means either A, B, C, D, or E, whatever it is, all right? Next, please try to find out the issue. In critical reasoning question, it is always better and suggestive to find out the issue. क्या है आपके हाथ में? What is the issue? Okay. Let's look at the question first of all. Right. These are all situations. तुम्हारे सामने situations हैं. And what are we doing? We are going to analyze the situation. So situation analysis is the main key. All right. So D, C, fine. Great answers. Om says D. Thank you, Om. Thank you, sweetie. Sonali. Okay, great answers. People who take antibiotics regularly are in danger of developing antibiotic resistance, as they can give rise to the antibiotic resistant bacteria. Okay, this is the author's premise. All right. Modern researchers believe that the most resistant bacteria are not from the regular prescriptive use of antibiotics, as the author has stated, but due to the consumption of meat which is bacterially infected. Okay, the researchers have a different point of view than the author. All right, but look at the question very carefully. What is the question? The question says, which of the following, if true, would most strengthen the modern researcher's view? Now, do we need to strengthen the author's point of view, or do we need to strengthen the researcher's point of view? That is the first question. That is the first question, right? So please understand the difference between truth and illusion, right? We are talking about modern researcher. A joke just, this reminds me of a joke. A teacher once asked his students what is the difference between truth and illusion. So one of the students, he stands up and says, sir, you are teaching it is the truth, but we are studying it is an illusion, right? So satya or bhram mein kya fark hai? So we are actually talking about the researchers' point of view. The researchers are saying that the use of antibiotics, they are not from the regular prescriptive use of antibiotics, but due to the consumption of the meat which is bacterially infected, isn't it? A says antibiotic resistance is greater than in urban areas than in rural areas, right? Before you even read this particular option, you can eliminate it, right? We are not talking about the geographical distribution of the use of antibiotics or the resistance, whatever it is. B says, Devika says, for modern researchers' view, option C is correct. Okay, let us see, Devika. Okay, thank you. Doctors are in the habit of overprescribing antibiotics. Does this solve the problem? Does it strengthen the modern researchers' argument? Right? C says most livestock farmers add antibiotics to livestock feed to improve their growth and immunity. If this is the case, then does it actually strengthen the modern researchers' belief? It is making a very strong point. D कह रहा है, people who do not use antibiotics on a regular basis do not develop antibiotic resistance. Well, even if it is true, does it actually weaken or strengthen the modern researchers' belief? No. E says Western farmers add more antibiotics to their livestock feed than farmers in the East. We are talking about livestock farmers over here. Okay. Over here, the contention is due to the consumption of meat which is bacterially infected. We are not talking about Western farmers or Eastern farmers. That is why the answer over here should have been C. Most livestock farmers add antibiotics to livestock feed to improve their growth and immunity. Most of you have got this answer right, because you have to strengthen this argument, this contention, the contention of the modern researchers. That is why C is the answer. It strengthens the argument. Okay. It was quite a beautiful question and most of you have been able to answer it properly. Okay. Yes, Devika, you people are right. It's C. Okay. All right. Let us now look at a few weekend questions. So whatever we have been doing so far was to support the claim of the author or the protagonist in the situation. Now we will have to take away the support from the argument. अब तक तो uplift कर रहे थे, अब थोड़ा सा discourage करेंगे. We will take away the support from the argument. All right? Okay. Let us look at the next question. The options are pretty long, so I will take you to the next slide once you have read the question. All right? So what does the question tell us? The question says the capital city's crime department had started a new crime fighting plan with civilian vigilantes and installation of CCTV cameras in the main streets and public places in 4 high crime areas in the city. 6 months later, the department announced that it was discontinuing the plan, stating that the plan had resulted in an increase in crime as all 4 areas had a significant increase in the number of crimes reported. Now, the question is, which of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the argument of the crime department? What is the argument of the crime department? To discontinue with the program. So you have to prove that no, the crime department should continue the program. And why discontinuing the program would be harmful or would not be effective or not wise. Let me take you to the option slides. Shubham and Abhilasha have keyed in D, Mamta says B, Ninad says B, Devika says E, Sanil says D. So it's a flurry of D coming through. Sanvi, Aniket, Siva, Om, Sanvi, Suresh. Suresh says A. All right. So we've got a mixed bag of response so far. Sweetie says D. Thank you, Sweetie. Okay, what about the others? Okay. Let's go back to the question once. Okay, now this is the argument and this is what you have to weaken. It says the department announced that it was discontinuing the plan. All right, stating that the plan had resulted in an increase in crime in all 4 areas. And there was a significant increase in the number of crimes reported. It says there's a significant increase in the number of crimes reported. All right. The right answer option over here should be D. Higher number of crimes were reported from the 4 cities under CCTV and civil vigilante observation because of CCTV records. Right. Now, the number of crimes that have been reported, right, does not throw light on the number of crimes committed. All right, the number of crimes reported does not throw light on the number of crimes reported, and this is a very very healthy sign, which was not happening all this while. And because of the installation of CCTV cameras and because of the deploying of the vigilantes, now more number of crimes are being reported, and so that the police can take stock of the situation and act accordingly. So this actually, if this is the case, then is there any reason why the department should discontinue the program? They should not discontinue the program because the benefits are being seen. So if this is true, then this step of the crime department would be weakened, isn't it? So D should be the option. E says areas where the new plan was implemented reported higher crime rates than areas where it was not implemented. So what are we talking about? Even if this is true, how does it weaken the detective department's stand on discontinuing the program? So E is gone. C says the time of the year when the crimes were reported was the time when crimes normally fell, as there were not many public gatherings. As if committing crime has a season. Like mangoes come out in summers and guavas in winters. So crimes also have season. So this is no reason why the program should be discontinued. All right. B says CCTV cameras used in houses and shops and other commercialized areas to prevent petty crimes may not be effective against grave crimes such as murder. So the intensity of the crime, or the severity of the crime is not being actually questioned. We are actually talking about whether the program should be discontinued or not. So B is throwing light on a totally different segment. A says the 4 areas chosen for the crime fighting plan were traditionally areas of high crime, right? So if you take a step against these high crimes, why do you think that the rate will not come down? Does A answer the question of not continuing the program, started by the detective agency? D is a much better choice. It answers the question. It weakens the stand taken by the detective agencies. So D is the right answer option. All of you got it right, I believe. Most of you. Okay, let's look at another question on weaken. It says, which of the following, if true, most seriously weaken the builder's argument? Read the question, please. Okay, Shubham says the answer should be A. Thank you, Shubham. Ninat says A. Okay. If you continue to answer with this kind of speed and accuracy, all the best to you guys. You're doing great job. Devika says A. Thank you, Devika. Sanil also says A. Thank you, Sanil. Okay. So this gives me an impression that you people are understanding the essence of the question very quickly. That's a great sign. Okay, सब लोग ये कह रहे हैं. Abhilasha has gone with C, all right. Shahrish Khan has gone with D. Thank you, Shahrish. Abhilasha. Sweetie has gone with B, all right. अब जरा मुझे ये बताओ, क्वेश्चन किसको एड्रेस कर रहा है? Builders को? Most seriously weaken the builder's argument, right? और क्या है situation? Let's look at the situation. It says, due to the increasing instances of fires in high-rise apartment, the government is proposing, क्या propose किया? A law that mandates, makes compulsory the installation of automatic fire extinguishers which will be triggered by the presence of a fire. You don't have to handle it manually. अगर fire है, ये automatically काम करने लगेगा. All right? So that's a good sign. But the builders and building companies are opposing the bill. Why? And what is their contention? Saying means this is the contention, this is the argument. In most home fires, the residents extinguish the fire themselves. वो खुद ही बुझा लेते हैं, right? And that most apartments have fire extinguishers in the common areas. So there is no need to have automatic fire extinguishers in individual homes. The contentions are two over here, right? The presence of the people in their respective flats and the presence of fire extinguishers in common areas. Okay, so you have to make this argument weak, discourage it. A says most household fires in apartments happen when there is no one in the household. If this is true, then this contention, the residents extinguish the fire themselves, will fall apart. This argument will not hold any water. लोग घर में हैं नहीं तो अपने आप कैसे बुझाएंगे, right? So A is very strong. B says the automatic fire extinguishers will spoil the aesthetics of the house. Aesthetics means something which is related to beauty, the beautification of the house. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about aesthetics? Is this a valid argument at all? Does it weaken the builder's argument? Not at all. So B is out of question, right? C says the fire extinguishers in the common areas are generally well maintained. Agreed. But what is the contention of the builders? That the people will handle the dousing of fire themselves, and the government has been saying that there has to be a law that mandates the installation of automatic fire extinguishers, and C does not talk about having automatic fire extinguishers in the building. All right. D says people do not know how to operate a fire extinguisher. This does not make any sense at all. E says one does not know whether an authentic fire extinguisher is really automatic or not. Yes, Tanil, we have to argue that what the government has proposed, if we strengthen, if we empower the government stand, then the builder's stand automatically is weakened. Yes or no? All right. So you have to keep these two things in mind. That is why this is the government stand, and this is the builder's stand. And this is the conclusion. And you have to make it invalid. If you do that, then A is the right answer. Most household fires in apartments happen when there is no one in the home, in the house. And the builder's contention was the people can extinguish the fire themselves. घर में होंगे ही नहीं तो कैसे बुझाएंगे? Right? So A is a much better choice than B, C, D, and E. Hence A should be the option. I hope it is clear. Okay. It is not, again, it is quite incidental, right? Assumption, you can say it is an assumption, but if people, this is pretty conditional, if people are not at home, how will they extinguish the fire? That is why we need what the government has been mandating. All right? Okay. This was the answer to question number 4. Moving on to the next question very quickly. ये देख लिया करो कि किसके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से क्वेश्चन पूछा जा रहा है. दैट्स ऑल. Om says why it is so critical. So that you can critically look at the question, Om, pass the exam, get a good college, and get a good job. Getting a good job is also critical. Money matters. Nothing, it's pretty logical. You know, it is actually a test of your decision making. Okay. How cogently and potently we can analyze a given situation. That is what is being tested through these questions. Okay, here comes the response. Anuja says D, Mamta says D, all right. First of all, let us look at the question, guys. The question says, which of the following options, if true, would most strengthen the researcher's conclusion? You have to provide support to the conclusion of the researcher. Support करना पड़ेगा आपको. All right. 75% of mosquito-borne cerebral malaria cases are reported from India alone. Okay. A nationwide research found that even in areas where it is endemic, okay, restricted to a particular area, there was a strange factor. This is important. Governing the infections. What is it? Districts with the largest number of television sets and internet connections per capita, per household or per person, had the lowest incidence of cerebral malaria. Researchers concluded, what is the conclusion? That people of these districts stay indoors more and avoided getting exposed to the mosquito bites. All right. This is the contention. Okay. A says the government's efforts to control the disease and its spread have been partially successful. The question was supporting or strengthening the researcher's conclusion. A, even if it is true, does it support? Yes or no? It doesn't support. Okay. B says when people have more TV sets and internet connections per capita, they spend a proportionate amount of time on them at home. So they don't go out. And when they don't go out, they are not bitten by mosquitoes. Okay. So they are not exposed to mosquitoes. B makes a fair chance. It makes a fair point. C says it is not possible for everyone to avoid exposure to mosquito bites. Absolutely right. But does it strengthen the researcher's conclusion? C, even though it is right, does it strengthen? No, it doesn't. Okay. D says certain occupations require people to step out of their houses and work. Agreed. Does it strengthen the researcher's argument? No. E says the incidence of mosquito-borne malaria in districts with internet connections is less than those with more TVs. Now what we have done, we have actually created a distinction between having internet and TV, okay, which is not what the argument is all about. So even D can be ruled out, okay, and that is why the answer should be B, because in the passage, in conclusion, the researchers say that people who have stayed indoors and avoided getting exposed, right? They are safe. So B can be marked very safely. This actually provides support to the researchers' conclusion. So B should be the answer. Yes? Okay. Question 5 clear to all of you? Moving on to the next question quickly. Okay, so Ninad has keyed in A. You mean 1. Om has also keyed in A. All right. Okay. The question is, financial dissatisfaction might negatively influence tax morale. So if somebody is financially dissatisfied, it negatively impacts somebody's tax morale. People don't want to pay taxes. Such dissatisfaction, Dharmi says A, Sujit says A, okay, might create a sense of distress, especially when taxes have to be paid and there is a discrepancy between the actual and the aspired financial situation. So, what is the contention? The contention is financial dissatisfaction negatively impacts, right, uh, the people's desire to pay taxes. This is what it says. Question is, which of the following can be concluded? If this is true, therefore, what can we conclude? Taxes might be perceived as a strong restriction that increases financial dissatisfaction and thus the likelihood of tax dishonesty. If this is true, then can one be concluded? It's a very strong argument. 2 says factors that are more closely related to taxation might have a stronger impact on tax morale other than the other factors. It may have an impact, but whether this impact will be positive or negative, we do not know. Secondly, what are the factors that that are being indicated is not clear. Okay, but in the question we are talking about financial dissatisfaction. Okay, so 2 is quite ambiguous. 3 says if tax revenues were spent more, hang on. Over here, who are we? Who is this passage referring to? This passage is referring to the taxpayers. But over here, we are talking about tax revenues being spent. This is being spoken about from the point of view of the government and not the taxpayers. So 3 can be eliminated outrightly. Okay. 4 says measures to prevent tax evasion need to become more stringent. This is actually giving you a solution. And if you are talking about making the measures more stringent, that will further dissatisfy the taxpayers. Okay, and it will add on to the problem. So the right option over here is 1. This can be concluded from the given passage. So 1 is the right answer. A is the answer, all of you. Okay. Looking at question number 7. Ninad has keyed in 3. Devika has keyed in 4. Ankit says C, which means 3. Ankit, okay, thank you. Avilasha says 3. Sweetie says C. Okay. A, B, C, D. Let me mark A, B, C, D so that there is no confusion. Okay. Let's look at the problem, guys. A couple of years ago, the government introduced what? A self-employment scheme to guarantee the graduate youth an alternative to government jobs. All right. So if the government is providing an alternative to government jobs, it is also, let's consider it to be not less than a government job. It is an alternative, okay, being given by the government. Today, over 150,000 25 to 30-year-old are still queuing outside employment exchange in the hope of an office job. So, in spite of the fact that the government is providing an alternative, still, let us have a conjunction over here. Still, we find these many 25 to 30-year-old are still queuing up for outside employment exchanges in the hope of a government job. One says, क्या करना है इसको? If true, could account for the above except. Okay, so except one, the others are the possible explanations. Except one, the others are the possible explanations. This is what the contention is. The program is uninteresting and not challenging enough to attract the youth. Can this be construed? Some prefer the security that a government job offers. C says the number of 25 to 30-year-old graduates has grown over the last couple of years. The graduates are unaware of the potential benefits of the program. It says which of the following, if true, could account for the above except. The program is uninteresting and not challenging enough to attract the youth. Can this be an option? Is it a valid option? This is absolutely true. The program is uninteresting. That is why you have so many people queuing up. Okay. Some prefer the security that a government job offers. This is also true. That is why you have so many people queuing up. Okay. The number of 25 to 30-year-old graduates has grown over the last couple of years. This is an extreme choice. Okay. This is an extreme choice. The graduates are unaware of the potential benefits of the program, right? Even this is not what we are actually looking at, right? Each of the following, if true, could account for the above. 1, 2, and 4 could account for the above. If the graduates are unaware of the potential benefit of the program, that is why they are queuing up for a government job, right? But C cannot be construed. We cannot say that the number of 25 to 30-year-old graduates have grown over the last couple of years and hence this population. So C is the answer choice. The others are absolutely fine. They actually explained why so many people are queuing up for government jobs. All right. So 3 is the answer. Okay. Let's read this question quickly. Shubham has keyed in 2. Thank you. Devika has keyed in 2. Thank you. Sanvi says 2. All right. Let us look at the question, guys. क्या कह रहा है ये? Animals in general are shrewd in proportion as they cultivate society. Elephants and beavers show the greatest signs of this sagacity when they are together in large numbers. The first sign of animals working as a team or a family, right? So they can show this sagacity. What? Animals in general are shrewd, very cunning, in proportion as they cultivate society. So if they live in a society, it actually, has an impact on their decision making and the way they move around. But when man invades their community, they lose all their spirit. Why? Spirit of industry. Industry means hard work. Among insects, now this comes to you as an example. The labors of the bee and the ant have attracted the attention and admiration of naturalists. How? But all their sagacity, wisdom, and enterprise seems to be lost upon separation. So as a team they prosper well, but when they are separated, all this sagacity seems to be lost. And a single bee or ant seems destitute of every degree of industry. It becomes the most stupid insect imaginable. It languishes and soon dies. ये सफर करता है और मर जाता है. कब? When they are separated. Okay? But when they are united, they go strong. But when they are separated, they perish. This is the line of argument. So what can be inferred? Inference can be drawn based on the facts which are present in front of you. Yes? One says, humankind is responsible for the destruction of the natural habitat. Hang on. Are we talking about the natural habitat of the animals? Is this what the question is? No. 2 says, animals in general are unable to function effectively outside their normal social environment. Make sense? Yes. Naturalists have a great admiration for bees and ants despite their lack of industry upon separation. We are not concerned with what the naturalists think about bees and ants. It is not about naturalists. So 3 is also out of question. 4 says, elephants and beavers are smarter than bees and ants. We are not doing the comparative analysis between elephants, beavers, or bees and ants. There is no comparison being done over here. That is why the best answer choice over here should be 2. Right? Animals in general are unable to function when they are thrown out of their natural social environment or when they are separated. This is what the contention is. Okay? The first line. Okay, that was question number 8 for us. Okay? Answer was option 2. The next question, please. Devika has keyed in 2. Thank you, Devika. Aniket also has keyed in 2. Thank you, Aniket. You people are great. और भी answers चाहिए हमें, right? Please read the question properly and answer it. Pranit says 2. Mamta says 2. Okay, thank you. All right. 2. And you people are absolutely right. The answer is 2. Right? Look at the question. Lines को समझते हैं. Although in the limited sense of freedom regarding appointments and internal working, the independence of the central bank is unequivocally ensured. Right? जहां तक अपॉइंटमेंट्स की बात है और इंटरनल वर्किंग की बात है, सो सेंट्रल बैंक एंजॉयज एब्सोल्यूट मोनोपोली. इसके ऊपर कोई सवाल नहीं है. लेकिन the same cannot be said of its right to pursue monetary policy without coordination with the central government. लेकिन यही बात हम सेंट्रल बैंक के लिए तब नहीं कह सकते when it comes to the this thing, right to pursue the monetary policy. ये सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के साथ बिना कोऑर्डिनेट किए डिसीजन नहीं ले सकती है सेंट्रल बैंक. ओके, इस केस में तो एब्सोल्यूट मोनोपोली है, लेकिन इस केस में नहीं है. The role of the central bank, this is the conclusion, has turned out to be subordinate and advisory in nature. Therefore, the role of the central bank, तो ऑथर कह रहा है कि सेंट्रल बैंक का जो रोल है ये सबऑर्डिनेट है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के नीचे है, राइट? और थोड़ा सा एडवाइजरी है, एडवाइजरी दे सकता है गवर्नमेंट को और कुछ नहीं कर सकता. So which one of the following best supports the conclusion drawn in the passage? Look at 2. The government has repeatedly resorted to monetization of debt despite the reservation of the central bank. Central bank ने कहा था कि please monetization को मत करिए because we have an objection. लेकिन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने बात नहीं सुनी and they repeatedly resorted to monetization, thus proving that the role of the central bank is that of a subordinate. It does not have a say, right, in the government's operations. So 2 is the choice. Okay, it proves it. 1 क्या कह रहा है? A decision of the chairman of the central bank to increase the bank rate by 2 percentage point sent shockwaves in the industry. This does not justify the conclusion over here. This is something new which is being stated. So 1 can be negated. 3 says the central bank does not need the central government's role. ये तो passage के opposite जा रहा है, right? This is not what the passage says. So 3 can be negated again. 4 says the inability to remove coin shortage was a major shortcoming of this government. Are we talking about the shortcoming of the government, or are we talking about the role of the central government, okay, being subordinate to the role of the RBI being subordinate, being subordinate to the central government operations? वो हमेशा central government उसकी बात नहीं सुनती है. This is what the contention is. So 4 is out. The answer should be 2, as most of you have pointed out. Correct. Okay. Let's look at question number 10 very quickly. Sanvi says 2, thank you. Chaya 2, Ninath 4, Aniket 2, Sujit 2, Dharmi 2. Okay, great answers, guys. I want your attention over here. They argue. Management experts. What do they argue? Thanks to the internet and mobile technology, we can now work where and when we want. This is the argument. The first line is management experts have long predicted the demise of the standard 9 to 5 workday. All right. The reality is that while flexible work arrangements have become more popular, few companies have an official policy or program. Traditionally, managers were reluctant to have people work remotely because of lack of trust. Even those bosses who trust their employees worry about allowing productivity to decline. Still, more managers and organizations are seeing the benefits of non-traditional schedules. All right. And this is exactly what the question is. The benefits of the non-traditional schedules and why should it be encouraged? The non-traditional schedules. Look at 2. Researchers have shown that when people are given the flexibility they meet goals more easily. They are absent or tardiness often, and their morals go up. Okay, they are absent or tardy less often. Means if 2 is true, therefore we are looking at the benefits of non-traditional schedules. Yes, so 2 actually supports it. 1 says non-traditional schedules can be introduced on a trial and error basis. Absolutely not, because we have seen the people are being talking about encouraging non-traditional schedules. So if the talks are on non-traditional schedules to encourage it, why to launch it on a trial and error basis? क्यों करना है ऐसा जब ये आपको benefit दे रहा है तो? So 1 is out. All right. 3 says not all employees will want a flexible schedule. मान लिया. But is this the question? The question is about encouraging non-traditional schedule. So 3 is out also. 4 says business need to assess the impact of flexible schedules before they offer the option to their employees. Absolutely right. But the question is different. The question is providing a support to encourage non-traditional schedule. So 2 is doing it. Okay. Even 4 is out of question. So it is important to look at the question from the contentions, from who is giving the argument from his point of view. And then the things are going to be clear. So we have seen quite a few questions today, but that does not mean that we should stop working, right? Please work on critical reasoning questions also and try to solve as many mocks as possible and focus on critical reasoning questions, whatever we have discussed so far. All right. So that brings us to the end of today's session. No, Devika, it cannot be 1. You know the reason why. Please like it. Comment on it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep. And don't forget to press the bell icon. So that brings us to the end of today's session. I hope to see you once again with a new session in the upcoming series. Okay, on that note, goodbye to you. Stay blessed and happy, and wish you all the very best for MAHCET exam. Bye-bye.